A trip to Kenosha, a successful one for the Cardinal football team. North Central traveling to Wisconsin and bringing home a win against Carthage. That means just Elmhurst stands between them and a perfect season. Speaking of traveling, pretty soon the men's cross-country team will head off to Louisville for the national meet with their eyes on the biggest prize. We catch up with them on this week's Cardinal Corner. We'll get to all of that and then some on the Red Zone.
Presenting sponsor of the Red Zone is ATHLETICO, the preferred provider of physical therapy and athletic training for North Central College.
11 total sacks for the defense, 4 more touchdown passes for Brock Rutter, NCC clicking on all cylinders. Let's check out the highlights against the Redmen.
After a quick 3-and-out by the Cardinal offense, the Redmen strike quick and deep down the sideline. Quarterback Kyle Freiberg with a completed pass to James Cobb down to the 14-yard line. A few plays later, Freiberg fakes a Cobb off the jet sweep and goes to the tight end, Javier Rhodes. He's all alone. Redmen up 7-0. Cardinals with the answer. Brock Rutter slinging it over the middle to Alex Ulmer. NCC set up at the 15-yard line. Very next play, Rutter over the top to Dylan Warden on the near side, and he goes up and gets it. The neutralizer, 7-all. It wouldn't stay tied for long. Will Connick, the freshman running back, takes the rock, shakes off a couple of would-be tacklers, and pulls away for the 38-yard touchdown run, longest of the season for NCC. The defense picking up steam. Josh Leonard taking advantage of a poor snap, wrapping up Freiberg, one of 4 sacks on the day for the freshman D lineman. More bad news for the Redmen. The Cardinal secondary is just as good. Jeremy Niklos with the pick, his 5th of the season, and after one too many celebrations, ending with his back on the turf, he takes off the bench. Turnover turning in to points. Rutter, Cool, missed tackle, House. Cardinals lead 21-7, tack on an 83-yard catch and run from Austin Brunig. NCC leads 28-7 at the half. Coming out of the break, Redmen back on the hunt. Cobb snags the touchdown pass, cutting into the lead, 28-14. Cardinals come right back at him, though. How about this catch from Alex Ulmer? Off the hands of his defender, sticks with it, and now he's off to the races. Makes half the defense miss the tackle before finally being dragged out of bounds at the 12-yard line. What a play from the senior receiver all the way down to the dance. 3 plays later, it's Rutter to Cool again. This time, Cool has to use every single inch of his wingspan to haul it in. Extra point blocked. Cardinals lead 34-14. Freiberg trying to keep Carthage in it. The quarterback keeper produces 6, but Pat Cravens effectively ends Carthage's upset bid with an interception and a big return. That and a total of 11 sacks on the afternoon. That is a new school record. NCC improves to 9-0, clinching the CCAW title. Elmhurst up next at home on Senior Day.
Welcome into the Red Zone. Head coach Jeff Thorne is here. And coach, the first thing I want to get to is the guy that came up with 4 sacks in this game, and it's the freshman, Josh Leonard. And I mean, what a tremendous effort.
He is, he's a special talent. You know, we've got 2 freshmen that both wear number 9. It's kind of unique. They're both pretty good. But Josh is a guy that we recruited really hard out of high school at Batavia High School, did an in-home visit, the whole thing, and he chose to walk on at the University of North Dakota, and things didn't work out quite the way he wanted to, and he called us back, and boy, we're pretty happy he did. He's been a great player all season long, and it was really neat to see him get rewarded. He'd only had a sack or maybe 2 going in, but he's had tons of pressures. He's made a lot of great plays. It just hasn't resulted in the finished product of a sack, and he gets 4 in one game, and really just missed the 5th.
Yeah.
So pretty impressive performance.
I was sitting right below the PA system, and it just seemed like his name was constantly ringing out, and the fans were almost at one point rolling their eyes just because of how impactful he was in that game. But another guy that he was playing alongside, and we have him on the show today, Jon Egan, comes back and he plays in this game. How big of a boost was that for you guys?
Absolutely enormous. Jon's a fifth-year senior. He's one of our captains. One of the better leaders I've been around in all the time that we've been at North Central, just because when Jon speaks, everybody listens to what he has to say. He's a humble guy with a heart for others, and it showed. He dressed for the Wheaton game knowing, you know, if we needed him for a play, he'd throw himself out there. He wasn't ready yet, but just him dressing for that game was an emotional boost. This week, having him back was not just an emotional boost, but also a physical boost to the team, and he gave us over 50 plays, and we were kind of thinking maybe we get 20 out of him, and he plays over 50 plays in a really physical game. So really put himself out there for the team, and that was really neat to see. Another
one of your leaders comes up with another big play, Jeremy Nicholas with the interception. Tough assignment that he had. I forget, Cobb was his name, and he did a really good job.
That's what we've asked of Jeremy all season long, and he's been tremendous. Gives him 5 interceptions on the season. He's got a bunch of pass breakups, and really could have had 2 or 3 more interceptions that he's just missed. What a season he's had. I mean, these fifth-year senior guys that came back for us, Brandon Kibbe, O'Shane Brown, along with Jon and Jeremy, have been tremendous.
Now you go from the seniors to a sophomore, but no drop-off in playmaking ability. Pat Cravens always seems to come up with a play that changes the course of the game.
We talked, I think, earlier in the season on the show about Pat and his athleticism. He is unequivocally the best athlete on the team, you know, by any measure when you look at the numbers and speed and explosiveness and being able to change directions. When you throw on top of that the competitive fire that he has, he's really a unique player, and you've seen that all season long with big play after big play in really pivotal moments.
Now I want to go back to the offense because Brock Rutter, we talk about him every week, but it's because he's playing at such a high level. He continues to make different throws, these different high difficulty throws. Is that impressive for you to know that he has that full weaponry of being able to do all these different things?
It's not just impressive, it's fun. You know, when you're calling plays and you have a quarterback that really there's not a throw he can't make. It's a game changer, and it allows you to get a little bit more creative. And our offensive line has just been so good at protecting him. People have talked a lot about our run game not being what it's been, but I'll tell you what, we're right at the top of the conference. I think we lead the conference in fewest sacks allowed, and we've thrown the ball a lot more than we have in years past. So they've done a great job protecting him and giving him time to find those open receivers who have also, you know, been pretty impressive.
We'll talk about one of them coming up and check the tape. But last thing for you, and I had to go back to the record book to figure this out, but Rutter has 30 touchdown passes. At this point in 2013, Spencer Stanek had 28. What are your thoughts on that?
That's, you know, really don't have thoughts on that, honestly. I'm not really caught up in the statistical thing. Brock's had a great year. Spencer was tremendous. And, you know, provided we keep playing as well as we do, I'd like to see us go as far as we did in 2013 and beyond. And if Brock can continue to play the way he has, it's going to give us an opportunity to do that.
We're going to close the book on Carthage coming up. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Check the Tape is next on the Red Zone.
This new mom is struggling to get the skates just right. Now she's holding on for dear life.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of siblings in foster care will take you just as you are.
Welcome back to the Red Zone. Let's go inside the film room. It's time for Check the Tape.
This Red Zone segment is sponsored by M&M Rentals.
Coach, first play I want to get to is Leonard. We started the first segment off with him, and let's start this one off as well. 4 sacks, he's now up to 5 on the season, and it's just a relentless ability to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, he just he brings a few different moves to the table. He's got the bull rush, he's got an explosive get-off, and he changes directions really well. So as a defensive end in space, those are critical physical attributes that you need, and Josh is big and strong on top of it. So, you know, we've got 2 guys on the edges that are doing some pretty impressive things when you couple that with Billy Dowd's 10.5 sacks that he's got on the season.
Now, I know he's usually lined up on the outside, but we've also seen him go up against guards and centers and also push them out of the way as well. Is that impressive that his skill set translates both inside and outside?
Sure. Yeah, you know, the more versatility, the better you're going to be as a player in any position. The more things that you can do, the more creative coaches can get with you.
Now, we talked about the different throws that Brock Rutter's been able to make. Here's another one. And how about Ryan Cole on the receiving end of this, being able to make that adjustment?
Yeah, Ryan's had an incredible season, and it's so much fun to watch because nobody works harder than him. He's extremely strong and physical with that impressive frame at 6'4.5", 6'5". But he's really become more athletic this year. His ability to adjust to the ball in the air has gotten significantly better than it was a year ago.
Now, the final play I want to get to is the freshman running back. I think this is the second straight week we've taken a look at one of his plays. And just the ability to stay on his feet here despite contact.
Huge play in the game. Right here where he runs over the corner, that's right on our sideline. And when your sideline watches a freshman running back do that, it lifts everybody. And, hey, guys, it's time to pick up the intensity level, the contact level. We've got a freshman out here playing really hard and scoring a touchdown by running somebody over. I mean, that was an unbelievable play in the game. It was a really important play in the game, and Will has continued to do that since he's been given more opportunities.
Now let's get to Elmhurst, the final regular season opponent. They lost to Wheaton 10-6. Yeah. They've lost to Illinois Wesleyan 13-10 and Carthage 37-28. So they've played the other top three teams in conference extremely close. Are you guys preparing for a similar battle?
Oh, yeah, I expect nothing but that kind of an effort from them, and that's how they play. They're fast. They're not afraid of contact, so they fly around and they hit you. And Coach Plans and his staff have really done a good job of rallying. They were picked, I think, 9th in the conference, and I think that's been a rallying cry for them, and they've done a great job of really fighting hard to make sure that doesn't happen. They're going to have a chance to finish 3rd or 4th, I think, in the league. So they, again, credit their staff for how hard they've worked and the plans that they've put in place on a weekly basis. They've got some impressive offensive players. Their quarterback has gotten a lot of things done, and they've got a great receiver, dynamic receiver, and defensively they've 15 interceptions. So they've done some great things in the back half. So we've got to make sure that we're playing our best football on Saturday.
I want to talk specifically about that quarterback, Orlando Hernandez. He played as a freshman last year against you guys. Now he's back as a sophomore, and he's doing things not just through the air but also on the ground. You've faced some dual-threat quarterbacks this year, but it seems like he might be the most true dual-threat. What kind of challenges does that present for you guys, and do you kind of enjoy that challenge of having a game plan for a guy like that? Yeah,
it is different. When you don't have the quarterback kind of sitting in the pocket and making decisions from there, and you have to account for another runner, it does make things a little bit more difficult defensively. They do a lot of things with run-pass options, so our defense is going to have to make sure we're accounting for him and keeping him under wraps because he can make a lot of plays.
Last thing is it's senior day. It's for you guys, so this is when you guys honor the seniors. There's a lot of them, a lot of very impactful guys. Is that always special for you? This is going to be your second year now, being able as the head coach to honor those guys.
Without a doubt. These guys have put 4 years of blood, sweat, and tears into the program, and in the case of 4 of them, 5 years. So it is a special day to have a chance to honor them and shake their hands and give them a hug one more time. This is a little different than last year, knowing that we're going to be heading into the playoffs. So it's just really nice to be able to honor them in front of the fans and their families the way that they deserve.
Hopefully you get a couple more home games for those guys to celebrate.
Absolutely. That'd be a lot of fun.
Coach, thanks for hopping on. Good luck against Elmhurst.
Thank you. Thanks, Kevin.
Jon Egan and Dalton Ness join me on set next. We'll be right back on the Red Zone. A couple of guys who battle in the trenches are on the show, and Jon Egan and Dalton Ness join the Red Zone. And Jon, I want to start with you. Long road back. You were hurt back a couple of weeks ago, but you returned for the Wheaton game to dress, and then you played this past week up in Carthage. How nice is it to be back on the field?
It felt amazing. Being out for 5-6 weeks definitely gets to you, but luckily with the athletic trainers we have, the doctors, our team doctors, they've done a phenomenal job. So all credit goes to them for them helping me get back to where I am now, and for all the guys who have just motivated me on and off the field to just get back healthy and who have really held down the fort and then some while I was gone. So,
what are the odds of injuring yourself twice on the same play?
I couldn't tell you, but everyone's making jokes about how I'm made of straw or something, But yeah, a little unfortunate, but glad to be back.
How emotional was that return against Wheaton, even though you didn't play, but just to be able to dress and take part in that?
that meant everything to me, just to be able to suit up with the guys and be with them in such an intense emotional moment and be a part of something so special like that. That really meant a lot to me. I know some of the other guys, so I'm just really grateful I had that opportunity.
Now, Dalton, the offensive line has been coming together over the course of the year. You guys are now kind of solidifying as a group. Have you found that it's more cohesive the longer you guys have gotten into the season?
Yeah, I've kind of felt like that. At the beginning of the year, we had a bunch of guys bouncing around, trying to find out who fit, and then Ricky went down, so it was a bit of a changer since he was a starter last year. And then just rotating guys to see what the right fit was so we get our running game going, and then protecting Brock as good as we could.
You got 4 juniors surrounding a sophomore in the middle of that line. How's Randy Clark doing in the middle there?
Randy's doing pretty good. He comes from a good background with his dad playing in the NFL, so he's got the most confidence, I think, on the whole line because he's the smallest of us all, but he'll take on anyone. He doesn't care how big you are and what your name is or where you've come from.
Now, Coach mentioned this pass protection. You guys have been phenomenal. Do you take pride in that you keep Brock pretty clean?
Yeah. Never like to see your quarterback on the ground. When he gets hit, you just want to take the guy out that hit him, but can't do that unless you want to get a penalty.
Now, Jon, I want to go back to you. The defensive line has been, just unbelievable. You've seen some freshmen develop this year, Cray, Leonard, Brinkman. How impressive is that as an older guy to see what these guys have done immediately in their Cardinal career?
Yeah, I could not be more proud of them. Coach Janczek has done a phenomenal job with coaching us up and having the opportunity to work with guys who are buying in so early into the program. Like you said, Andrew Cray, Lane Brinkman, even Tyrone Suggs coming back. Josh, just awesome to be with a group of guys regardless of age, knowing that they're going to get the job done and then you can trust them.
You're playing next to Amante. And Amante is this really calm, quiet guy when you get him off the field, but he turns into a whole different animal when he's on the field. How interesting is it to play alongside him?
Yeah, he flips as a switch. He definitely a guy that I look up to and that I can trust on my left-hand side and who gets the job done every time. So having an intense guy just really makes a world of a difference, and it's awesome just to be with him.
Now, back to the offense. Will Connick has come in. You have guys like O'Shane Brown and Austin Bruni, guys who you know can get the job done. And then this freshman comes in, and he's lighting the world on fire. Is it impressive for you guys seeing what he's been able to do, working around and doing all these special things?
Yeah, it's impressive, but as an offensive line, we trust whoever the coaches put back there because Coach Jeff said it. We have the fastest guys back there in the whole nation. It doesn't matter which one of the 4 or 5 that have played, taking reps back there. You put them out there against anyone, they're going to beat them in a race.
Now, we mentioned the fact that there's 4 juniors on that offensive line. Is there a leader that has emerged, or is it just this collective effort that you guys know how to get the job done?
I think it's a collective effort. We have Joe as a captain, but he's not much of a vocal leader. He's just like a do by example and trying to do it the right way. And he'll rile us up if he needs to, but he's more like the keep it calm kind of guy.
Now, I want to get to this. We're going to move away from football. We're going to go to the quick hits. 3 questions that have very little to do with what you guys are doing on the field. First one is, and we'll go to Jon for this first one, your favorite class back in high school?
I would have to say chemistry for that, not necessarily because of the content, because sometimes I struggled with that, but our teacher, Mr. J was his name, was just an enthusiastic, out there guy that just made the day brighter. So I think it's all about who you have as a teacher, and that made the difference for me.
Blowing things up in test tubes?
Exactly, yeah. He was a cool guy.
Dalton?
Probably my sports marketing class. We got to play fantasy baseball for a grade, so whoever had the best team got the highest grade. So we kind of took a competitive view on that.
That's awesome. And now you're a sports management major too, so that makes sense. Second question for you guys. If you could speak any language, what language would you speak? And we'll start with Dalton with this one.
I think German.
All right.
When hanging out with Ricky Sturba, we always talk about going to Oktoberfest after we're done with football and having fun there. And just being able to communicate there would be fun.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. How about you?
That's a tough one, but I think I'll have to go with French, just because it seems like a really beautiful language, and I think the chicks would dig it too. So,
You'd sound so sophisticated, right? Last one for you guys. We'll start with Jon on this one. I'm hoping you guys come up with different people, but you might come up with the same. Goofiest teammate and why?
I think by far Jeremy Nicklaus. He is I can't even describe him. He just does the craziest things, but he always makes everyone's day brighter no matter what. And he's just an awesome person to be around and just puts a smile on your face.
It makes sense because he started out the year with Quick Hits saying that he'd like to play the saxophone. So that actually makes a lot of sense. How about you, Dalton?
I think Brock is the goofiest kid.
Really?
Yeah. Just seeing how he interacts with everyone on the team, especially with the World Series, like the baseball World Series.
Yeah.
Him going against any team the Cubs were playing, and then the next day he'd be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. They still have more games to play."
Man, that's a lot of fun. Guys, good luck against Elmhurst. Thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break. We catch up with the Cardinal men's cross-country team as they prepare for the national meet on this week's Cardinal Corner. That's coming up next. We'll be right back.
I came across the finish line and I looked back and I didn't see anybody really anywhere close, and it scared me a lot, and that's something that I've tried to make sure isn't the case this year. I've definitely tried to work out with the guys a little bit more and get everybody closer together.
I got trampled last year, so I'm definitely going to be avoiding that this year. Hopefully get out well, that everyone behind me on the team can get out well.
A 5th place finish at Nationals. It's almost unheard of. The last time the North Central men's cross-country team finished outside the top 4, 2007, the final season of a 3-year stretch where NCC finished 12th or worse. Before that, 1980, and it's not something senior captain Zach Plank and Ethan Adelfinger are exactly taking lightly.
I don't think we dwelled too much upon that. None of us really happy that we're on that trip, so we definitely made a team commitment to make sure that didn't happen again this year.
It's really been a process that started from the end of last season. Like, our core group just kind of got together and we're like, we're going to be better next year. Like, this is not going to happen again.
Al Baldonado was a freshman last year, placing 2nd on the team and 50th overall. If not for an early race wreck, teammates like Adelfinger and seniors Ken Hoffman and Aaron Sabatz may have joined him near the front. But when a pack of runners went down, so too did North Central's chances of finishing on the podium stand.
Racing at Nationals was definitely a good experience as a freshman. I came away with like a bad taste in my mouth because we didn't perform as well as I wanted, but I think that's going to help the next few years of my career here.
It would mean a lot. I mean, watching my freshman year when they won, watching, everybody celebrates, but watching that top 10, that top 7, watching those guys celebrate, it was pretty cool. They were actually up on a hill, like almost outside of the tent, and we were doing the NCC chant, and it was just exciting and emotional. And to be one of those guys though that says that they ran and that they scored for the team, it's all you can hope for.
Dan O'Keefe was an alternate last year. The year before, a freshman, watching on as the Cardinals celebrated their 16th National Cross Country Championship. Now it's his turn to contribute. The nerves? They're not really present.
I don't think I've ever felt more calm around a group of guys going into any meet, whether it be nationals or conference or regionals. That quiet confidence we have is, it goes through everybody, and you can't feel nervous.
If all goes according to plan, the Cardinals will be crossing the finish line one by one and in good time, displaying the proud red and white stripes that have come to dominate Division III cross country over the last half century.
We have jerseys that go back to, I think it was 1968 as when they started the stripes, and that's incredibly inspiring.
North Central's hopes will lay in its ability to emerge from the starting gun out in front of the field and in their signature pack running. The national meet will be run November 19th down in Louisville. It's time for this week's Play of the Game. We've seen some pretty spectacular grabs this year, but how about this one from Alex Ulmer? Off the deflection, snags the ball, and turns upfield. And it's not even the catch. Look at the dipping and dodging he's doing all the way inside the red zone. Let's slow it down a little bit. Check out the concentration and the body control. And then his moves are so deadly, number 29 tackles his own teammate. My oh my, Alex Ulmer, you've earned the red zone's Play of the Game.
It's time to get the 411 on all things North Central sports. Sports Information Director Clark Tusher joins me on the set, and I want to talk about soccer first and foremost. Seasons are over, but the awards have rolled in. Some all conference announcements have been made. It is John Borzik and Chandler Olaf for the guys. Is that a nice consolation prize for them?
They probably wouldn't tell you that, but it's certainly not a surprise. Johnny's got a lot of respect around the conference as a defensive player, and Chandler as one of our leading scorers the last couple of years. A nice honor for him to close out his career.
And then for the women's team, Emily Gaither and Catherine Kent. And Kent gets it despite not playing the full season with the Cardinals.
Well, it tells you something about how quickly she made a reputation for herself, having transferred in after the season started. So she missed the first couple of weeks and obviously missed out on some preseason training, but certainly a measure of respect that the coaches have for her to put her there.
Now I want to talk about wrestling because this is a season that's just getting underway. And, I mean, they really had to climb a mountain in that first meet against Northwestern at Welsh Ryan Arena. They lost, but it has to be a source of motivation and also, you know, kind of a measuring stick for them as they move forward in the season.
Well, you open up with a good team in the best wrestling conference in the country, regardless of division. You know, that's certainly a tall hill to climb to open the season when you haven't even competed yet. And you know, a couple of guys in the upper weights are still finishing their football season, so they don't have them available, so they're not even using their full lineup. So I think the result there wasn't necessarily the goal. The goal was to get into a big-time championship-style environment with a lot of people there and you know, TV cameras and things like that. So you know, when you get into some of your regular tournaments and events throughout the year, you know, you've got some callousing there. You've been, you know, under the lights and performed. So I think they pretty much just toss the results out the window there and just take the experience for what it is.
Nice results for the women's triathlon team, who headed out to nationals and took 7th place, and a couple of really nice finishers.
Yeah, you know, it really was a great experience for everybody. You know, our third finisher, you have to have 3 to finish to have a team score. Our third finisher, Jennifer Huffnagel, actually took a pretty nasty spill during the bike portion and had to get up and get herself composed and continue to run. There's a lot of, we've got some photos of her with, you know, she's got blood all over her knees, she's got bike grease on her face, and still competing and trying to run, and she knew she needed to finish for the team to be able to place as a group. So definitely that's a group of girls that's learned a lot. You know, they were all first-time triathletes coming into this fall, and to finish 7th in the country, regardless of division, in the first national championship, they've certainly got a lot to be proud of in a short time.
I'm sure Jenny Garrison enjoyed that performance and that effort from Huffnagel.
Oh, she loved it. You know, she really appreciates, you know, the amount of effort and the amount of commitment that they've had into really, you know, becoming serious triathletes. You know, after just you know going into August, you know, some of them, you know, they maybe had seen a triathlon before. That might have been the extent of their experience. So I think she's really just over the moon with how the first season has gone.
Now let's finish up with football. It's the final regular season week, but after that comes the playoffs. So how are things shaping up for the football team in the way that they're approaching the playoffs?
Well, fortunately, we've done it enough from an administration angle that we know how to manage a lot of those things. So we're prepared if we're honored to be able to host any of the postseason games. The announcement will come on Sunday about 5 o'clock at ncaa.com. We'll follow up with coverage at northcentralcardinals.com. In terms of who we're playing and those kinds of things. You know, you can't really do a whole lot in advance because you don't know who's getting in, who's going to be going where, and we find out when everybody else finds out. There's no advance notice or anything like that. So we just have to be ready as best as we can be, and I think we're ready to do that.
Once the bracket comes out, do you get a sense of how many rounds you could potentially host?
Well, they really don't let you know too much of that ahead of time. It'll depend on. We'll probably find out shortly after the first round of games are completed if we're playing the next week, you know, where that game's going to be. So they don't really release a seeding for the teams, but that's something that just kind of gets revealed each round as you go forward.
Well, we're looking forward to it. I'm sure you guys are as well. Thanks for stopping by, Clark.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have on this edition of the Red Zone. One final regular season test awaits the Cardinals on Saturday. Elmhurst visits Benedetti Worley Stadium on Senior Day. We'll have the pregame at 12:45 with the kickoff coming at 1 on NCTV 17. I'm Kevin Jackman. We'll see you next time on a brand new episode of the Red Zone.